Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of Ms. Marvel Episode 3, which gives Kamala 10 rings problems and a Djinn ain't one. I don't know if that made sense, but let's break down this episode shot by shot for all the Marvel Easter eggs and details you might have missed, because there is so much to explain from the opening minutes of this episode. Also, announcement that you can see New Rockstars live in Austin, Texas on Saturday, July 2nd as part of RTX, that's Rooster Teeth's podcast festival. For discounted tickets, click the link in the description, use the code NEWROCKSTARS, all one word. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We hope to see you there. Don't miss it. We open in British occupied India in 1942, making this a few years before the partition mentioned last episode. That's when the British left India by dividing it into India and Pakistan, resulting in devastating civil unrest. We find ourselves in a cave containing various ancient relics. Digging through this rubble is Najma, Faria, Salim, and Kamala's long-lost great-grandmother Aisha.
I found the bangle.
Should we be concerned it's on a severed arm?
You heard what that man from the temple said.
He said we would need two.
So where's the other one?
I told you. The British have probably looted this place twice over by now.
And as the British army realizes their intrusion, they burn down this location, and we get this overhead shot revealing the floor is carved with the symbol of the 10 rings. Whoa boy! But really the key detail here is that they find this bangle on a severed blue arm, which indicates to us that it may be Kree. Kree are humanoid extraterrestrials in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, many of whom are blue-skinned, Kree being the society that Carol Danvers ended up with, and Captain Marvel. Most of them are imperialist pricks. Kree technology is partially the source of Carol Danvers' power-up. It was a lightspeed engine powered by the Tesseract, the Space Stone, followed by a bit of Kree transfusion. It was the Kree who invented the Terrigen Mist, the process that creates Inhumans, and what gave Kamala her powers in the comics. So this 10 rings logo might mark this as the location when Wu discovered the 10 rings. In the comics, the 10 rings are alien McLuhan technology discovered by the Mandarin in the wreckage of a McLuhan ship. The Shang-Chi film only hints at where Wen Wu found these rings.
有人说他的十环是火山口里捡来的，还有人说是墓穴里盗来的。他们给了他神一般的力量，也赋予了他长生不老的魔法。
So this place may be that tomb or crater where Wen Wu found the rings. And that these rings were extraterrestrial technology, but not from the McLuhans like they are in the comics, but in the MCU, from the Kree. This could be a Kree crash site containing other relics of ancient Kree technology. This group sent here by a man in the temple, whom I believe to be Wen Wu. Wen Wu has had the rings for over 1,000 years, and this helmet that Faria finds looks like the kind worn by the Ten Rings cavalry in that Shang-Chi prologue, or at least worn by an army that they conquered. We are in the Indian subcontinent here, but the Ten Rings Empire spanned the whole Asian continent, from China to Afghanistan. Many have speculated the bangle is connected to the Ten Rings because if you look closely, it does illuminate very similarly to the way the Ten Rings do. Remember, in the Shang-Chi post-credit scene, Wang, Banner, and Carol Danvers analyzed those rings.
They're not vibranium. Chitauri?
Not like any alien tech I've seen. How long did your dad have them before he gave them to you?
About 1,000 years?
The thermoluminescence indicates they're older than that.
Now, Carol might be familiar with modern Kree tech, but if these rings were ancient Kree tech, it would predate any expertise that she had. So I believe ancient Kree sent a dispatch to Earth thousands of years ago, perhaps alerted by the arrival of the Eternals, or maybe the even earlier arrival of a vibranium meteorite to Wakanda, which I think was the nexus moment that really gave the true birth of civilization and technology to this planet in the MCU. I think that ancient Kree dispatch could have brought with them the 10 rings and the 2 bangles, maybe also technology like Teragenesis. Sometime after that, the rings were recovered by Wen Wu. Maybe there was some kind of conflict where he severed the arm of that warrior with the bangle. So why now would Wen Wu give this group valuable information? Maybe it wasn't Wen Wu, maybe it was a rival of his. But remember, in Shang-Chi, Nan explained the realm of Ta Lo.
We have cities that surpass any in your universe, rich with culture and history. Thousands of years ago, all of our people lived in peace and prosperity until the attack of the Dweller in Darkness.
So this implies that the Dweller of Darkness must have come from some dimension beyond Ta Lo, as these folks are interdimensional beings from beyond. Wen Wu might have made a deal with these devils for him to keep the 10 rings so that they could take the bangles. Now, the most important detail from that post-credit scene was that the 10 rings were releasing some kind of pulsing beacon that was summoning something or someone. Now, I think it will be revealed to be the Kree as the rightful owners of this technology, this being a very important relic to their culture, and with Secret Invasion coming up, I think we're gonna learn about the Kree-Skrull Shadow War that's been happening behind the scenes, and that's gonna erupt into an all-out cosmic war in which Carol, Kamala, and Monica are gonna have to defend Earth from a Kree invasion. I think that is going to be the plotline of the Marvels next year. So where is the other bangle? Faria says the British had already looted this tomb, which is an important clue. It could be in one of those London museums we visited recently where Cersei and Dane worked, or where Stephen Grant worked, or where Killmonger visited. That relic could be among the possessions of Dane's uncle, along with the ebony blade that we saw in the Eternals post-credit scene. It could be an artifact held by MI13, the Supernatural Investigation Division, where Blade and Black Knight have both worked, and we know the two of them are now together from that post-credit scene. Or it could be in damage control storage, along with the Chitauri tech and the Ultron heads that we saw in Spider-Man Homecoming. Aisha snaps on this bangle, her eyes turn purple, as they did for Kamala. Presumably she got a glimpse of that Noor Dimension, as Kamala did. But because Aisha was from that dimension, she cannot fully connect with this bangle the way Kamala can, since she was born in this dimension. And then we jump to the present, where we realize Najma has been telling this story to Kamala, and Najma reveals that she and Aisha and the others were exiled from another dimension called the Noor Dimension. Noor meaning light. And they all have some degree of Noor in them, but in lesser quantities, still slowing down their aging. However, Kamran is 17 years old, so don't worry, no one's going to jail. Well, he doesn't go to jail this episode, but you know, not for that. Najma says the bangle helped Kamala unlock her Noor, and maybe someday something will help Kamran unlock his, hinting that he will probably power up into his blue bioluminescent inhuman form from the comics. But then we meet the last one of their group, who's only hinted at in the opening scene. His name is Adam.
Don't mind him. We've been around for 100 years, and he picks the stupidest parts of humanity to be obsessed with.
That's so rude.
His name being Adam is significant, as when they argue off screen, the captions show he says this is his house. He's more confident than the others, and there might be some significance to that because Najma says,
In our home dimension, the Noor Dimension, we're known as the clandestines. As to what we are, we've been called Ajnabi, Majnun, unseen. The list goes on. But what we're most commonly known as is Djinn.
I'm sorry, did you just say Djinn?
okay, wow. So the term Djinn was actually mentioned back in episode 1.
Please tell Bruno the Zuzu is possessed by the evil Djinn. He needs to fix it.
Djinn refers to a spirit or a demon in Islamic mythology, actually pre-Islamic mythology, as Yusuf clears up later. They've been anglicized as genies, which basically just means white culture has bastardized this culture. They've turned the concept into like jacked blue Will Smith rapping. But Djinn absolutely have a deeper lore to them. The idea is that whereas humans were understood to be made from clay, the Djinn was made from smokeless fire and are forbidden to interact with humans and are actually invisible to us. By the way, the other terms that Najma mentioned, Ajnabi is Arabic for strange, alien, or foreign. Majnun is Turkish for a crazy person. Unseen may have a deeper meaning to it in Marvel lore. Unseen has been considered to be invisible to the Watchers, but I think she was using it in the context that Djinn are supposed to be invisible to mortals. But the key word there was clandestine, which was capitalized and I think might be referring to a lesser known group in Marvel Comics from the 90s founded by Adam of Ravencroft, Adam, later dubbed Adam of Destin, from 12th century England, who during the Crusades fell in love with a Djinn. Their descendants become the clandestine, all with various different powers, and they team up with the X-Men, and don't feel bad if you don't know they existed because they were never popular. I guarantee you, even the nerdiest Marvel fan who watched this episode today had to do a bit of Googling to figure out who these guys were. But I think that was by design. Their obscurity and their intersection with Djinn mythology being the reason why this term was chosen here. Now, to be clear, this group is only 100 years old. Really, it's their extra-dimensional status and the fact that they identify with being Djinn, something important to pre-Islamic mythology, being far more important to who they are in this story. The fact that the biggest a-hole in the group is named Adam, I think just a nod to Adam of Ravencroft, Adam of Destin. I'm thinking that their Noor Dimension is actually another spiritual afterlife realm in the MCU alongside the ancestral plane in the Duat, as Tuaret and Moon Knight explained that both the Duat and the ancestral plane were part of an array of interlinked afterlives that all take different forms based on the beliefs of the individual. And now, to be clear, the concept of the Djinn far predates 100 years when these exiles arrived into our dimension. So really, Djinn is just what they were called and how they explain what they are, but they are not literally Djinn. And it remains a mystery why they were exiled and what it says about that dimension that authorities there exile souls from that realm and leave us with them. What I love most about all this is that it is grounding the mythology of Kamala Khan and the whole Khan family and her powers in faith. That seems to be a thematic undercurrent of Phase 4, with stories like Thor, Love and Thunder, Eternals, Moon Knight, and soon Black Panther Wakanda Forever, all exploring the theme of how for many of these characters being a superhero is deeply intertwined align with their spiritual beliefs. And I think this is awesome because the MCU may be about to establish that all paranormal folklore beings in this world, vampires, ghosts, demons, werewolves, Bigfoots, chupacabras, musks, are exiles from other spiritual realms, other dimensions. And assuming one of those dimensions is hell, because we got a pretty good look at that in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you know what that means. Now, if you're full of chivalry and really want to address someone as Lord and Lady, Established Titles can make it official. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. They let people buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so that they can call themselves a lord or a lady, and in return, Established Titles commits to planting a tree. It's just a really fun way to help preserve the beautiful woodlands and biodiversity of Scotland while supporting global afforestation efforts. Established Titles work with global charity Trees for the Future and One Tree Planted to help them plant a tree for every order. Plus, for those with Scottish heritage out there, it's just a great way to connect to your family roots. Your certificate features a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land on a private estate in Huddleston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. You can get a couple pack for you and your partner with adjoining plots of land, and you can literally have this gift ready in 5 minutes. So it makes an amazing last-minute gift, and Established Titles is actually running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code NEWROCKSTARS, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/NewRockstars to get your gifts now and help support this channel. Not today, though. Now, the opening title includes Kamala's notepad drawing showing Captain Marvel with a heart on her chest, Iron Man with a heart on his chest, and Palm Repulsor, Hulk, and then this sexy dude going, oh, hi. Another is cut paper with KK labeled on the scissors, and then another is a drawing of Kamala totally falling over Kamran. Also, a quick reminder that the best way to support New Rockstars is to get our Ms. Marvel-inspired Cosmic Daydream shirt at NewRockstarsMerch.com, where you'll get the added option to write in a custom shout-out for our Ms. Marvel after shows. Kamala tries to explain this all to Bruno.
I'm a Jedi.
And tonic?
Solid joke, I love it. The books on Bruno's shelf include Mechanical Behavior of Materials, Turning the Wheel, Hacking Darwin, How to Manage Your Mother, How the Mind Works, Mr. Monster, and on top an issue of Popular Science. Kamala asks,
Do you know anything about interdimensional travel off the top of your head? Specifically the Noor Dimension. That's N-O-O.
Actually, no, that reminds me of a paper I read. I think it's by Dr. Erik Selvig.
Perfect.
yes, Erik Selvig, Thor and Jane Foster's astrophysicist buddy from the Thor films and Age of Ultron, and now, based on the in-flight movies and Spider-Man Far From Home, something of a Neil deGrasse Tyson figure in the MCU. Bruno shows Kamala that she's trending that TikTok post from a guy named Miguel with hashtags including Mosque Save, Girl on Roof, Nightlight, and Jersey City Hero. DODC agent Deaver's license plate is 0102EE. In WandaVision, Wanda and Vision's license plate when they first drove into Westview in episode 1 was 0102. She struts into the mosque, her shoes making hard thuds on that carpeting. Just so rude of her and these agents to enter with their shoes on. Nakia tells them to get a warrant.
Nakia Bahadir, mosque board member.
We still have few more votes to count.
Okay, all right, perspective member, but I feel good about our polling.
Yeah, there is a lot of ADR in this episode. That's where they bring in actors afterwards to dub in audio that they just kind of layer in post-production. And by the way, they do that all the time in movies and TV shows. Usually it's very subtle, but this one was totally my favorite. Nakia's political rival wanting to make sure all the votes were counted. A detail that I love because if you think about it, Kamala's rescue in the Eid festival when they campaigned was the day before. So when was this election held? During the festival? This morning at the meeting? How many people voted? How long were the polls open? I mean, this guy is totally right to demand some election security here. Kamala watches a TikTok video on her desktop? That's weird. The comments include a bunch of little Easter eggs, including one from Queen Zaynea, She Could Save Me Anytime, one from Royal Ruby, Nightlight saves people left and right, the real Euro King saying Captain Marvel wannabe. Now I assume this is actually Najaf, the Euro vendor. Hummy Drizzle replies to him saying, yeah, she can't even fly. Euro King also comments, I don't know what everyone is so hyped about, she broke the kid's leg, but then beneath that, GWW Not the Bridge defends her saying she saved him, he would have fallen without her. Now GWW could refer to Ms. Marvel co-creator G. Willow Wilson, or maybe the guidance counselor Mr. Wilson named after her. And then there's a comment from Fizan the Man and the real Zoe Zimmer. Oh, Zoe, you always just gotta be where it's happening, don't you? Outside of the party, Kamala has this heart-to-heart with her sheik, who advises,
Good is not a thing you are, Kamala. It is a thing you do.
yes, reminding Kamala that her status as a great-granddaughter of a clandestine is really irrelevant. It's her own choices now that define her. We see Bruno has given Kamala a superhero mask and he put it in a shoebox. If you look at the side of that shoebox, it is size 13 men. Damn, Bruno! In the Circle Q, Bruno studies Selvig's paper on his laptop, and you can see an Einstein-Rosen bridge illustration, aka a wormhole, and he refers to the events of New York City in 2012, aka the Battle of New York, something he was very involved with, considering Loki used the Mind Stone on him. There's also some language asking if we should leave this dimension or not. Dr. Selvig doing the work that soon characters like Reed Richards and Kang will be building on. Yusuf drops in for a Hostess fruit pie, which is a classic Marvel Comics deep cut for when like Spider-Man or the Avengers would randomly plug Hostess fruit pies in panels. A very forced and cringy thing that Marvel Comics used to do, as Yusuf hints at with this meta line.
There's just something about their syntheticness. I just can't resist them.
Yusuf translates some Urdu text about the Djinn.
Legend tells of a group of hidden Djinn, exiled from their home world and damned to live out their days trapped in our own. They move in shadows,
searching for the key that will help them get home. But to unlock such an ancient barrier will require a primordial power.
Later with Bruno, Kamala wears an Iron Man shirt and rubs her knee, telling us that her Noor doesn't necessarily give her rapid healing powers. Bruno tells her that they need the energy the size of the sun to open a portal through dimensions, which could wreak havoc on this dimension. Kamala says,
Carol Danvers went away. She'd punch a hole in space and time and she'd help them now.
And Carol Danvers would be reckless. Maybe it's not such a bad thing that you're not her.
Yeah, I'm so glad someone said it. Avengers, including Captain Marvel, are not good role models. Higher, faster, further, baby. Also, I'm sorry I burned the city down, oh well. When Kamala texts Kamran, a QR code appears to her left on the wall. Every episode there is a hidden QR code somewhere in the shot, where if you scan it with your phone, it'll take you to a link that actually updates every week with a new free Ms. Marvel comic. And this week, it's the Magnificent Ms. Marvel #1 from 2019, which frames Kamala as a bedtime story hero called the Destined One. This episode's title is Destined. All the story beats this episode with the family wedding, all the heart-to-hearts between Muniba and Kamala, between Yusuf and Amir. They're all just so wholesome and sweet and wonderful. We get to learn so much about the family and this culture, and it is a delight. One detail that I really liked is Amir being shoeless throughout the event. This is actually a game ritual called Juta Chuptai, in which the groom's shoes are stolen and the groom must beg or pay ransom to get them back before he can leave the venue. My dumb theory this week is that Nick Fury got his shoes stolen on the Skrull space station because he was currently getting married that day to a South Asian woman. Probably wrong. Probably wrong. I just want to know why they took his shoes. And during the amazing dance sequences, you'll notice the nephew is wearing the padded Hulk outfit that Muniba stitched for Kamala and Yusuf in episode 1. The wedding band is Brown Jovi, a Bon Jovi cover band, calling back the family's love of the New Jersey Prince in the past episode. Kamran shows up to warn Kamala, but also to screw over Bruno. He knows his name isn't Brian. There's legitimate jealousy there. And as I mentioned before, some of his lines here were definitely picked up later via ADR.
You'll kill everyone. You have to get out of here.
Hey, I think you should leave.
Kamala, everyone will die.
I am guessing that an earlier cut of this episode didn't properly have Kamran establishing the life or death stakes of Najma's crew, but also, are they gonna kill everyone? We don't really know what the clandestine's power set was. They don't really seem that scary. A lot of this part seemed a bit hastily edited together. But still, there's a lot to love here, like the amazing needle drop to have Bon Jovi's living on a prayer during this chaos. This whole episode establishes Kamala's powers as grounded in her spiritual beliefs. She is literally living on a prayer. Now, at first, I actually thought Brown Jovi kept playing through this, which would be nuts, but you can see them running off in the chaos. But still, that means they set their break music to continue to play, and those break tracks are all Bon Jovi songs, which is also really funny. Another little detail here, after worrying about not having enough money in his bank account, during this panic, Amir smartly goes for the cash and grabs it off the plate. The clandestines turn out to be a real bunch of a-holes. Adam straight up punches a cook who wasn't even in his way.
Absolutely not. No.
Oh, I love that extra. Give her a spinoff. There are some goofy signs posted throughout this kitchen, like on the dry erase board, 63 days without incident? How bad was that incident where they had to keep track of their days without one? Then a teal sign on the walk-in cooler that says, please do not enter this cooler unless you specifically need something in here. This cooler is to remain locked at all times. Whoa, yikes. I assume they also meant to put up a sign that says, also please refrain from saying the words longing, rusted furnace, daybreak, because we keep winter soldiers frozen in here. What the hell? And yes, we do not really get a clear sense of the clandestine's power set. They seem to have some super strength, like they crack the floor tile and send Kamala flying after they punch her Noor shield. Adam taps a chest pendant, transforming it into a melee weapon, but that shot is so dimly lit that we can't really make out this transfiguration. Piriya just shows up with a spear. Celine turns his belt into this whip-like blade. I think this is actually a bendable blade called Narumi. Kamran and Najma both have weapons, but we don't really see where they tap them from. I mean, hey, it wouldn't be Disney Plus without a mid-season moment, right? It especially just feels a little lame when they can all get taken out by DODC Hulk Sonic cannons and then get arrested like Scooby-Doo villains. I mean, no offense to these clandestines, I just don't blame the Noor Dimension for being like, we're good, you stay out. We do get a cool moment where Kamala's Noor light embiggens her fist to punch Celine and save Bruno, and then her arm just stretches to clear the room. There's a very important moment where Najma grabs Kamala's bangle and a portal opens showing the train with Karachi on it. It is a steam engine train, something from the 40s. I am thinking the clandestines betrayed Aisha by pushing her in front of that train after Aisha refused to disclose that she gave that bangle to Sana. Nakia realizes Kamala is that nightlight hero she's been mad at, and she completely savages Bruno.
Nakia will take care of me.
Wait, no.
Just go.
Kamala refuses to admit to her family that she did pull the fire alarm and ruin the wedding, and then her nanny, Sana, calls telling Kamala that she and Muniba need to come to Karachi ASAP.
Did you see the train, beta? You have to come to Karachi.
And that is where we will go next episode, where we will likely meet the Red Dagger, or who knows, at this rate, maybe we'll meet Blade. I have no idea where this show is going, and I kind of love that. Hey, if you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, you can come see me live with Endgame's Improv every other Saturday, including this Saturday, June 25th. Hit me up on Twitter for more details at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.